My name is Lilia. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm a content creator. Good question. I feel like a lot of the reasons so many people do go into content creation, at least at this stage in the influencer economy, is to make money, is to secure brand deals, is to just, yeah, get ahead financially. And so anything one would think that could threaten those partnerships, that could threaten that money coming in would be seen as a risk, maybe not worth taking. And I do know a lot of creators obviously stay quiet on a lot of issues so that they can continue with those partnerships and continue to bring that money in. That to me is a no brainer because I personally just would never want to work with any brand that is not grounded in my moral compass and is not grounded in the values that I choose to live out on a daily basis. It is definitely something I think about. I have definitely thought about in the past, like, oh, that stinks. Like, I know X brand could pay me $100,000 for a 15-second video, but I just simply I could never almost sell out for that. I do think there are little ways in which creators do kind of succumb to what this capitalistic machine has made for us. And I do think there are more ethical ways to work with brands who may not be as keen to align with. But I do think in general, speaking my mind and trying to build and foster community online will always be grounded in the person I am, and the money has to come second to that. I think, again, so much of content creation is making things look appeasing, appealing, obviously very aesthetic, because you want to speak to people, not at them. So you want to make things look good enough for them to share. You want to make things look delicate. You want to make things look palatable, right? And it's so interesting to think about so many of the things we're talking about, let's say, talking about the genocide in Gaza. You do see infographics that are beautifully curated. You do see very aesthetic versions of really devastating news. And I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. I think that is the reality of getting people to hear you. So you do have to make it look good. Again, sounds crazy because you're talking about things as horrific as the genocide, as horrific as people being detained by ICE. But you do need to make it look good enough to share, because if not, people won't be sharing your message. People won't be excited to like rally behind the post you're posting. So I think the way I reconcile with it is understanding the environment I'm posting in and knowing that curating an aesthetic doesn't mean I'm not communicating a powerful message. It just means you know who you're speaking to and you know how you want to be perceived and how you want to be consumed so that you have a lasting impact and so that you are shareable, because at the end of the day, you're posting on social to get the message across, even if it comes at making things look a little bit pretty when it's not that pretty of the news. I think I just ground myself every day in gratitude, because even though America is a censored state, a fascist state, we are constantly monitored. There are certain freedoms that we still do have, especially when I think about my homeland of Iran, where my parents fled. There are young women who get murdered for posting the way I do. Sorry. And so I just always think about that's that's I owe that to my people. I owe that to the world, to use a platform, even if it's not the biggest platform, to use my voice, to exercise this privilege, to speak out, to post, even if it might get shadow banned, because at the end of the day, there are so many people who don't have that platform and who haven't been allotted the privilege to speak freely, to even something as simple as posting a video of yourself dancing. There are people in this world that will be harmed if they choose to do that. And so when I really think about, wow, like that is why my parents came here, and that's a hard thing to grapple with too, because I feel like in my journey as an American, I'm coming to terms with this country is in a lot of ways just as harmful as the regimes my parents led themselves. And so it's a lot of reconciliation with where they came from to where they came now. And sometimes it can get really hard on the whole situation and be like, they shouldn't have left. Like, this place sucks too. But then I think about those young women who are killed, who are arrested for posting their thoughts and opinions, as simple as they may be, online. And then I'm like, you know what? That in itself is my duty and my power and my utmost privilege to be able to share my thoughts and use my platform for good. And I have a really hard time with creators who have such a platform that don't choose to use it and choose to stay silent on issues that are impacting the people they're speaking to. Because at the end of the day, like, the only reason we're alive is to enjoy this life we've been given, to feel peace, to have rest, to be with our loved ones. And when you realize that so many people in this country do not have those like basic human rights, who are we talking to? What's the point of saying any words if you're not speaking on behalf of those people who deserve the world? My name is Lilia Sori, and you can find me at Lilia Hope on Instagram and Sori on TikTok.